and P-Train was the swordless, like you said. This is their third between the two of them, but it's the second game for today. So that's where we got the game 2, game 3 from.
And Link's house only has a little bit of cash for us today. But now we're going to go through this normal escape sequence. There's a possible 6 items to get inside of Hyrule Castle. I guess kind of one of the safe plays here, you know, with having standard mode is, you know, you don't have to go back and optionally dip inside of Hyrule Castle.
Absolutely, and it looks like we got a couple questions on tournament format here. So just to enlighten chat a little bit, the way that this works is we are in the group stages. So there are 6 players in Group I, and each of these players plays each of their opponents 3 times. They each get to pick one race for their own preferred format, the third being randomized. So this is the third race between P-Train and Kermit. But like I said, it's all within the group, so hopefully that clears it up a bit.
Yeah, each person in the groups are getting a guaranteed 15 matches in this group stage, which is really exciting for a lot of newer players to be able to get that 1v1 tournament experience and kind of level their gameplay up a bit. But we'll see here. What happens is the top 2 from each group will advance to that round of 32 in a single elimination bracket.
Right, so this is mostly your standard vanilla Zelda game. You know, we have standard mode, so this is the opening escape sequence. A nice Moon Pearl pickup there in our vanilla boomerang chest. That's a nice find. But you know, I just like standard in the spring tournament. Your goal here is basically just go through the motions, rescue Zelda. Hopefully, you get a bomb so you can get those back 3 chests and escape. But otherwise, you're basically on rails for at least the first 5 minutes.
And I think really the big difference in separating these two right now is I believe Kermit did an early map check where P-Train opted to not do that at the start.
Yeah, this is not in all dungeons. This is just to defeat Ganon, so that you actually have to do that map check. You're only gonna have to kill the 7 crystal dungeon bosses. But what's neat about this is, like you said, this is boss shuffle randomizer. So all the enemies are standard, but the bosses are randomized, which means that the items that you might normally need to defeat a boss, like an ice rod on Trinex, might not actually be required because that might not be Trinex in Turtle Rock.
Absolutely. I will say the one thing I am sad about with this boss shuffle randomizer is that the boss here inside of the Hyrule Castle Escape is still vanilla.
Yeah, I like the open mode randomizer where all the enemies are randomized. It can really add a whole nother level of difficulty. The boss shuffle isn't so bad, other than the fact that you might you'll see a few quirks. Like in Thieves Town, for example, you don't have to escort the maid into the room because the boss, you know, even if it's blind, you don't have to do that. So there's a few things like that which separates from a vanilla standard run. But it's mostly the same.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I've seen a lot of runners in this tournament actually make that gamble where they go directly to that boss in Thieves Town, pick that crystal up and say, you know what, I'm not going to worry about whatever's left in the back. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it bites you. You just kind of have to obviously see how the items fall in the rando seed.
Absolutely. Right now, we're still doing the front of escape, and both players have been farming these green guards. P-Train killed a few more, but unfortunately, no bomb drops. One thing you have to keep in mind is that each enemy is in a randomized prize pool, so you might not have bombs at all in those green guards and blue guards, but we might find an 8-bomb pack on the rats and ropes here in the back of sewers. So there's still a good chance to find a bomb. P-Train going to kill all these ropes. A lot of dense enemies in this location. Just arrows, unfortunately.
Kermit getting a little bit of the better RNG there, getting that spin slash and knocking out a bunch of them. Still no bomb on either side, though.
Yeah, and a map in that chest means that there are going to be 3 items in the back, as well as 1 item in the sanctuary. But the prize pools have just been completely uncooperative. Nothing from either runner. I think most likely we're going to be seeing neither player get the back of escape.
Yeah, as a runner, your biggest fear is that what if the first glove is back here in the back of escape, and then you need another glove to actually come back in to check that. So I know both of these guys are hoping they can pick up a bomb here in this last room.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Normally, it's not that catastrophic if you find a glove in Kakariko Village or South Shore, somewhere in your early route. You can, as you just said, Dante, you can just enter through the graveyard. But I've seen races where both gloves were in the Dark World and the Moon Pearl was in the back of escape. So it can be required to walk through there in the front. Nice sync coming out of the fair.
No uneven RNG today. Looks like both runners didn't pick up that bomb, so now we are going to we'll have to see when they're able to route that back in, right?
Exactly. And just because there was no bomb, like I said, doesn't mean that they're not going to have to come in the front of escape in order to get back there. Hopefully they'll find gloves, and it's a pretty quick check once you find your bets. Neither player going to do a lumberjack check. We got perfect sync between these guys.
Both dancing around that bird very nicely.
Checking our tier 2 tree pull prize. Just heart refills instead of the much needed bombs.
Getting this early blue mail is very convenient. A lot of runners who base their skill on execution, they don't like to see this too early. Usually they like to try and play it a little riskier,
Yeah, we were seeing some... That sync was really insane. Kermit and B-Train, after picking up the mail, I mean, even their X and Y axis movements were identical. That was some freaky sync.
That was 2 seeds on 1 controller, right?
It must be it, exactly. B-Train, he's just given up on farming bombs. Nothing from the hoarders, nothing from the trees prizes. I'm just gonna buy them. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of a safe play, and it doesn't really cost you that much time to do it that way either.
Yeah, Kermit taking a little bit of a time gamble here, going into Blind's Hut without a bomb. We get the boots, very nice item, but if we don't get bombs here, we're going to have to backtrack later to get this last item, and that is the case. P-Train, by buying bombs, can do the South Shore route first, pick up the dam items, meaning Moldorm Cave, and then, maybe go Link's House into Kakariko from the south as well. Some nice options when you don't get those early bombs.
And there's the hammer, the first item in the dam. P-Train picking that up. That's always a nice find because when you have the level 1 sword, sometimes that becomes your new sword for a little while just to get that tempered sword damage.
Oh yeah, hammer's a great early item to find. Hammer and the Moon Pearl just means that they're a glove away from Dark World access 9 minutes in. Oh, wow.
Super early Ice Rod there. I was joking with the runners in IRC. If you missed the last race, they last locationed Ice Rod to finish that one out. And here they are. I joked with them. I said, I bet you get it really early. And I don't know if that was an early comms curse or not, but I know that's one less thing on their mind.
Yeah, Kermit did give a little sword slash there to the bottle vendor. Which I think is absolutely fair. He deserves it. Ooh, lamp in the library. That is a nice early find. I think these days you see so many runners, after all the time that Randomizer's been around and the hundreds and thousands of hours that people have playing, you get very used to seeing lampless seeds these days. So seeing a lamp before a single dark room, that is a nice find.
Yeah, it's super convenient. A lot of times you'd see runners pass it up, but most times it's if they have the fire rod in their possession. Like right now, that lamp may end up being their only fire source. So You know, if we get up to, say, Tower of Hera or places like that where it requires a torch to be lit, then, you know, they're definitely going to need something. So best to pick that up instead of just kind of flexing on your opponent by forcing dark rooms.
Absolutely, yeah. Kermit, not having picked up, actually not having found bombs in chests, is making his way back up through Kakariko to do the bomb locations. Chicken Hut, the Well, and Blind's Hut. Really surprising that we didn't even get a 3-bomb in any of those chests.
Yeah, usually you do see that, you know, going in the, like you said, the Well and inside Blind's Hut. Usually there is at least one, and a lot of runners bank on that, but not the case right now.
P-Train is doing a really interesting setup here. Bombing himself right to the edge of the screen is a very easy fake flipper setup. This will let him immediately turn in the mushroom, and he did a save and quit. So if he doesn't like what he finds here, he can do a hard reset, and he'll still have that mushroom in case he decides to do a magic bat fake powder later on in the game.
Yeah, I respect this play a lot because, you know, if you get progression here, great, but, you know, if you don't, you've got that backup, and you still don't want to have to go check, you know, the magic bat. It's so far out of the way.
Yeah, the fact that he has the hammer, it just puts him, you know, a mirror or a. Oh, there's a sword. That's worth keeping. I was gonna say a can of Samari for the bat trick.
You know, we see a level 2 sword on one side, and we've got that lamp on the other. I know chat's probably itching at the potential for this.
Yeah, we have the lamp. We have, you know, we will have logical access to do Castle Tower, and of course, not being an all dungeon seed, that's an optional requirement. So that means that we're most likely going to need it. That's the way it works, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe you're right. Now, so you see Kermit here. He's actually going to go ahead and check Lumberjack now. Early boots. Sometimes that means something's here. Just 10 arrows today, though.
Yeah, that's definitely a common check you see. People don't like to do the Lumberjack until they get the boots. He's able to route it in with your bonk rocks. It's a really nice, efficient check. P-Train, he's not going to have to backtrack here like Kermit did in Kakariko. We'll get his boots, his bottle, a minor detour down to the bottle vendor to turn it in, but otherwise, not a lot of diversions. Nice, another pair of footwear for Kermit.
Yeah, early flippers as well. That's handy. That's something else you like to have early. And in my experience, I always seem to last location flippers.
Absolutely. We haven't. Let's see. We have two pendants. I don't know about the third. Oh yeah, desert was the crystal. So I'm trying to figure if we actually are going to need flippers, and we are for either swamp or ice. So we did see, P-Train, he used a fake flipper in order to do a quick turn in on that mushroom, but that definitely that wasn't a sequence break. There's no rock there in the light world. I was confusing with Dark World for a second. Yeah, not a sequence break. He could have just walked up there if he wanted to. It was
it's just a little faster, to do that fake flipper trick. I guess you could call fake flippering in any form, a sequence break, but that method, I guess, just saves, a few seconds along the way for the runners.
Yeah, minor glitch, not a sequence break.
There you go. That's the word I was looking for.
If you're able to otherwise walk up there, and you can for Zora, you can for the magic shop. Nice magic, nice hoarder price here. 80 rupees. That's Zora money for Kermit. And with the flippers in hand, I expect we'll see all the water checks coming out of Mini Moldrum Cave here. Really great water prize.
That's very convenient to find down here on South Shore, because once Kermit goes through and handles probably, I'm going to assume, Ice Rod Cave and everything else here on South Shore, it's just a matter of, swimming around, checking. You can get a view of what's on the Lake Healy Island, and then we can go, as Tiru was saying, we can knock out those Zora checks.
Yeah, that beast kicking some ass there. Kill those mini Moldorms. So maybe we'll see a water walk buffer coming out of Ice Rod Cave here on Kermit's side. It's obviously he doesn't need the fake flipper because he has the flippers, but it still can save you time by buffering this water walk, allowing you to run instead of have to swim on the water.
Yeah, very true. Swimming isn't the slowest form of travel, in my opinion, but it's definitely not the fastest. So if you can run across the water, and it looks like Kermit is attempting to set that up there, so we'll see if he puts that to good use down here in just a moment.
Yeah, this is a very easy glitch to set up. No execution skill required. You slightly offset yourself from the door and have to, and run with the boots. So the game pushes you out of the doorway, and then jump downwards into the water, and it will put you into this state. It has more complex uses, but the simplest one is just get to the hobo, get up to the waterfall fairy if you don't have the moon pearl, and save some time. It's also really fun to do.
Just 3 bombs today on the hobo. Would have been nice to get those a little earlier, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that was our first triple bomb. The first one I noticed, anyway. So unfortunately, the boots trick only works until you're until you jump on the ground. So you have to swim all the way down here to check the island. There's our Quake medallion. Might not need it, but that's definitely good game knowledge. And P-Train also getting that game knowledge there about the Quake medallion.
Yeah, P-Train kind of retracing over Kermit's steps here. I believe they're going to end up in the same area. P-Train doesn't quite have the 500 rupees to potentially do Zora, but I think the biggest difference right now, and I know it's still early game, but the biggest difference I think is where Kermit had the boots early and was able to just a little more efficiently route some things in.
Yeah, Kermit picks up another bee from the fairy there. Immediately ditches it. Doesn't want the bee. Got his value from the initial one. P-Train has already done Ice Rod Cave, so he's saving and quitting. He's not doing the Waterfall Fairy, the Zora stuff. That makes sense because he doesn't have enough money for Zora. Doesn't want to make 2 trips up there.
Yeah, these locations that Kermit's at right now are pretty out of the way. And, when every second counts, it's definitely what we would call a time sink for sure.
Yeah, more bombs from Zora. Not worth the money in this case. No glove means that we still can't check the back of Escape through the graveyard. This is, that moment where you're thinking, could there be something there? And, was progression back there? Is that where the gloves are? Did my opponent find a bomb? A little bit nerve-wracking.
And shovel on that ledge, the Zora ledge, just a nice little fetch quest. And I believe Kermit is going to make a beeline over there to see if we can find any progression inside that dig spot. Yeah, and Fire Rod there in Sashirala's hut. That's a nice item to find. We already have the lamp, so we don't need it for a fire source. So we're not going to use it for a little while. Only on Trinex bosses, and of course they get to the back of Swamp Palace. And there's buried treasure today. The bow. That is also a very, very convenient early find. We're here sub 20 minutes, and we already have a bow. We've got a full Trinex care package, if you will, over on P-Train's side. So we'll have to see what kind of RNG we get today for the bosses. Absolutely. This is an interesting dungeon. You can get to the boss without the bow, and we have the lamp, so those dark rooms aren't a sequence break. But we even if this is Armos, we can kill Armos with the sword or the boomerang. It's just very time-consuming fights. The flute is the first item in Eastern Palace. That's going to be a little more convenient for routing in some travel through the light world. I believe that's going to also give us our in logic, Death Mountain access, even though we didn't have a glove yet, so we couldn't even sequence break up there at this point.
Absolutely. And I won't be surprised if Kermit continues into Eastern as well. That bow may or may not be needed, but it's going to give you the confidence you need to head into the dungeon. And he doesn't have too many other options other than, like you were saying earlier, no back of escape and no Aga yet because he doesn't have that sword upgrade.
Absolutely. Yeah, the big swing right now is, both of our runners here in EP, we do have P-Train, no bow. Since this is standard Randomizer for this tournament, it's just ball shuffle. So P-Train will not be able to access that ball, so we're going to have those red Igors in the way, unfortunately. So we'll have to see when he'll be able to come back.
A nice useful hint there. Ether is in Swamp Palace. That could make a big difference if we do Swamp and assuming that we need Ether for Mire and Turtle Rock, and then if we go into Swamp and we skip left side and we haven't found Ether yet, that's where a hint like that really comes in handy. So I think the biggest differences at the moment is Kermit hasn't turned in that mushroom yet, and that mushroom is holding our second progressive sword. P-Train hasn't had the money to do Zora, and Zora has the shovel, which leads to the bow. Those are probably the two biggest things at the moment.
Yeah, it's pretty early on still, but seeing such different equipment variations on our each runner's side. We've got the bow on one, but the level 2 sword on the other, as we mentioned. There's some more bombs. Those would have been useful earlier, right?
Absolutely.
I keep thinking of this, if I were the person playing this, and I'm just constantly thinking, man, what was in the back of Escape? What was in the back of Escape? And it would totally be in my head.
Yeah, P-Train, this is a good idea. Get some extra rupees while you're over here. Gonna get him almost enough to do Zora. He's deciding not to continue on, not to find out what the boss is. I don't know.
He wouldn't be able to see that boss, I don't believe. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I apologize, right. But yeah,
I'm thinking Randomizer and not just boss shuffle. I'm thinking full Randomizer.
Yeah, since we're on boss shuffle, that's where Kermit's kind of have a little bit of an advantage here, depending on which boss we find. We could find an Argus in there, and then you don't have Hook yet, so then we can't do Argus anyway. So it may play in P-Train's favor. We'll just have to see how the dice roll here.
Yeah, that's an important difference between the boss shuffle Randomizer and then the full Randomizer. In the full Randomizer, there are no rooms that have enemies in them that you need to defeat that are like item specific. So that room with the red mimics would have something else in there. So P-Train would have been able to progress. It can throw you off a little bit. If you're thinking, Randomizer, I can get anywhere.
And with this flute active, now P-Train's got a little more mobility. We already had the boots, but now we can warp all around, and he is going to make that Death Mountain play and probably go get this old man to get that third and very valuable save point.
Yeah, absolutely. That save and continue point, very useful with the flute. But if we don't get the mirror or the hook shot, we're not going to be able to do anything else other than check the Spectacle Rock item and the hint in there. We're not going to be able to proceed on Death Mountain. But meanwhile, let's find out what the boss here is. And it's Trinex. Nice.
I just mentioned earlier we had that Trinex care package with that Ice Rod and that Fire Rod. The problem here is I think Kermit's going to take a death here. With Fighter Sword and Hammer, I don't know if he had quite enough magic to do that.
That might be possible with God Mode execution, but you'd have to hit every shot and you'd have to have perfect Hammer Trinex. That's a very difficult fight. Knowing that it's the green pendant, and that you've got most of the other things out of the dungeon, and there's lots of other places you can go, I don't blame him for saying I'll come back here later. Yeah,
and unknowing to P-Train, that actually worked out in his favor that he didn't come in there with the bow. And we're seeing on P-Train's side now, picking up that red mail and getting this hint. Shield and Mimic Cave, that's kind of useful information, but not the best. And we've got a nice hover here from P-Train. Very nicely done to get over that gap.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's all P-Train can do up here. So he's got the what are the locations that he needs to do? The water locations. Still doesn't have enough money for the Zora. I'm surprised we didn't see like a Houlihan check or something. You can set that up without the gloves.
And I believe Kermit is going up to turn in that mushroom. He'll be picking up his level 2 sword. P-Train heading up here to the Zora area. Gonna get, I believe, some junk here inside Waterfall Cave. And then we'll see that shovel on the ledge.
There we go. That's very valuable rupees. That gets him enough to actually do Zora now. So it's just 3 bombs, but it's an item that he can cross off his list. Kermit, on the other hand, interesting choice on his side. We have everything we need to do Aga Tower now, but we can also go to the back of Escape the long way, through the front. And there are those 3 chests that might mean you can skip Aga Tower altogether. I wonder which one he's going to choose.
And Kermit picking up that green potion and a blue potion kind of looks like he may want to go pick up that green pendant. You know, it's so convenient with it being over there, and you can just turn it right in directly after that fight.
That would be a pretty aggressive play. I think that a lot of runners would most likely do Aga for the Dark World access, take the gamble, do those 3 chests in the back of Escape. Doing Trinex, that's pretty aggressive.
Oh, I agree. That's it's a low percent play, for sure. Yeah,
they have a Genos Cave as well. Kermit still has the 2 Death Mountain items that he'll be able to do. I'm sure he'll check those immediately after this flute activation. And this is the bow for P-Train. This could send him back to Eastern. If he goes back to Eastern, though, he's not going to be in any better situation than Kermit was facing that Trinex. He does have the Master Sword and the Red Mail, so I guess that makes it a little bit easier, but it's still probably going to be a Hammer Trinex fight. And both our runners keep trying to lift up the rocks.
27 minutes in, I'm going to be trying to lift things up too. At this point, you kind of think you've gotten strong enough to pick almost anything up, at least the small rocks, right?
Absolutely. That's a common mistake to make. You just assume that you have the gloves.
I mean, I've got red mail, I've got a level 2 sword, a flute and boots, a bow. I should have a glove by now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. Kermit not even checking the item in Spectacle Rock. Just also lifting that rock. Making this Eastern play. This is really, really interesting. Both of these players thinking along the same lines here, committing to Hammer Trinex as their first dungeon.
After Trinex being their last overworld boss in that last seed, it's kind of like, I think both of them have a little bit of a vendetta. They got that ice rod that was eluding them for so long. They want to go just take out Trinex again for the fun of it.
So, assuming Trinex, the gloves are the most obvious progression item that we could immediately take advantage, giving us ourselves Dark World access. But assuming Trinex doesn't have that, and it's just a garbage item, and we're back to the same choice. Do Aga Tower for Dark World access, do Back of Escape, do a Genos Cave. Those are our remaining options. I'm kind of actually hoping that Trinex just gives us the green pendant, and that gives us like arrows or something.
Yeah, hopefully, I'm going to say I kind of hope we get a glove off of this, that both of the runners are committed to it. As a runner, you kind of are going to feel, if you get trash from Sahasrahla, you're going to feel behind. Even though, both of our runners are doing the exact same thing right now.
Yeah, this is such a difficult play. It does make you feel like it needs to reward your gameplay. Kermit coming up here with the green and the blue potion, though, he knew what he was coming. He saw Trinex before. P-Train doing a very, very nice job conserving his magic. But as long as you don't get any ice on the floor, this might be doable.
Taking advantage of that smaller room to bounce off the wall. They got that 4 hit on the fire head. Having a little bit of trouble getting the fire rod shot on the ice head, though.
Yeah, this is a very, very difficult fight. Kermit entering the same fight now as well, working down the fire head. I think P-Train's got just enough left. You got one shot left, I think, after that. Extremely good execution there.
Yeah, Kermit will be able to play this a little safer, or maybe a little more aggressive with those potions, rather. But this should be a pretty standard, maybe a little slower due to Master Sword slashes on P-Train's side. But he should be able to make quick work here of Trinex.
Yeah, playing it safe. You know, the advantage of having the extra magic is that you can just burn down the fire rod head instead of using the hammer. So what do we get from Trinex?
All right, phase 1 down on Kermit's side. P-Train rewarded with his green pendant, and we'll make a mad dash over to the hut to see what our prize is today.
Yeah, the blue rupees were not worth all that trouble. Green pendant, time for redemption.
The cape. Ooh, that's kind of spicy. That's another one of those potential fetch quests or potential, you know, it's going to lead to absolutely nothing.
I really feel like there's 2 gloves in the back of Escape.
That would actually be pretty amazing. We'll have to wait and see if that actually comes to fruition. P-Train making a play on Hyrule Castle here. We'll see if he opts to go flying to the back of Escape or if he's just going direct to Aga. And he's going to the back. See, I tell you, it's in these runners' heads. You don't get a bomb in your 30-plus minutes in. You didn't get to check the back of Escape. Progression's stuck back there. That's what's going through their head right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't really want to commit to Aga with 3 items here that you're going to assume that your opponent probably got. It is fairly rare that you have to actually come back here this way, and especially with the lack of a glove. It's a quick check. Unfortunately, they have the boots. This is not a time-consuming check to make. If this doesn't pay off, neither player has checked a Gina Cave. That's something that has been open to them the entire time, but they'll probably make the Aga play, I think.
Yeah, Gina's Cave being a little out of the way. Flute makes it not as unappealing, but we do see here on Kermit's side, Kermit is going to make the Aga play while P-Train's checking these chests. A big 20, another big 20, and a heart container. A little frustration slashes there. Wow. Oh, boy.
So that divergence is not going to last long because P-Train is going to have to follow Kermit into Aga. So a little bit of extra knowledge for us, but not a big divergence. Both of them heading up to Aga Tower. Another seed where both gloves are probably going to be in the Dark World, or at least locked behind Aga.
Yeah, no doubt. Both of the runners now definitely making that play. This is, we're not in key sanity or retro, so we do have just the standard key layout for the 2 chests here inside of Aga Tower.
Yeah, I think that the only, correct me if I'm wrong, but the red mail up in Spectacle Rock is, and then of course the back of Escape that we just saw. Those are the only locations that P-Train has checked. Kermit hasn't. I don't think Kermit's checked anything P-Train hasn't.
I believe you're right. So they're on pretty equal ground, except for like 1 or 2 checks, which really isn't that big of a time gap, honestly, at this point.
Another hint telling them where they can find some bombs.
Something about, you know, that'd have been really nice earlier instead of in Turtle Rock, but you know.
Unfortunately, this is you know, they have at least you know, they have the fire rod, so it's pretty quick to burn down the stronger enemies in Aga Tower. Not a difficult mode to do in vanilla. This can be really tough to do. I've seen these dark rooms done in Randomizers, and those are brutal.
P-Train getting his very valuable hint about the bombs being in Turtle Rock, while Kermit is getting through this cutscene, and then we'll see how many blue balls Aghanim likes to give to us today.
Yeah, we have a lot of options coming out of here. Obviously, both players will immediately get to check the pyramid item. That's, you know, that's given. But we get some divergence at that point. We can go south into Hype Cave and do the Southern Dark World route, or we can go into Palace of Darkness. We can't get into Kakariko yet. We can't do Catfish without the mitts, without the glove. But we do have a little bit of divergence. And the Southern route, that's nice because that opens up a lot of really quick checks.
Yeah, most definitely. There's going to be, I think we'll see a divergence, like you were saying, like at this point, once we get through the Aga 1 fight.
I suppose if Pod is a crystal dungeon, you know, they have everything they need to full clear it. And
yeah, you're right. I keep forgetting we got the bow so early. You know, it's you know, unless we find, you know, an Argus or something like that over there, with you know, ball shuffle.
Yeah, we could even take out a Cold Stare with the early fire rod. It would just be an Argus, I think, that would lock us up. And that's a pretty good gamble to take.
Now, does Kermit still have that green potion? Because that would be the one difference in safeties between the two. And there's the mirror on the pyramid ledge. That's going to make things even more convenient to navigate around through the overworld.
Much easier. Yes, he does still have the green. He used the blue on his Trinex fight. I think this makes a little bit more of a case for the southern route because you can also get K45 in, but he's going to go right to Pod.
Kermit having second thoughts now, looks like, about the pod play. Pulling out that mirror, looks like he is going to go to the south side of Dark World and maybe go route in Hype Cave and K45.
Yeah, there's a lot of items here. You get the 5 in Hype Cave. You get Stumpy, Digging Game. This actually, you didn't have enough money for Pod. That's probably what changed his mind.
Oh yeah, I didn't even take notice of that. Heads up play by him there to make sure he found that out before he went there. And Hype Cave giving us bombos and some cash, some arrows and more cash. So I don't know, with bombos, I like bombos, so I'll give that a solid like 5 out of 10.
All right, chat updating us that the green goo was used immediately on the magic refill, and then he used his blue. So they only has 1 bottle, so he's out of safeties, and the P-Train just has that B, I believe.
And Kermit's making a beeline to the Lake Helia Island. Going to pick up that Quake medallion. That'll be 2 out of 3. That'll give him very good odds going into the potential Mire or Turtle Rock plays.
Yeah, this is a nice route. I mean, he got Hype Cave. He was able to loop in the lake check, and the money in Hype Cave lets him now do Palace of Darkness. It really worked out very well for him.
And with Kermit heading back over to Pod, we're going to be a little bit back in sync for a little bit.
Yeah, Pod's a pretty time-consuming dungeon, but with the exception of, like I said, in Argus, you know, we can full clear this. P-Train, this is one of the I mean, I can't do this, but I know that this is one of the most difficult hovers in the game, if not the most difficult. Trying to skip the whole right side there.
You know, after doing that first hover in Spectacle Rock so easily, he had me believing that was going to be a thing. Like he got really close there. That is one of the hardest tricks, though.
Yeah, that one's tough. It involves having to make the turn, and it has to be lined up perfectly. But he's gonna clear the right side. He has the bow, so there's no reason he can't clear this. You know, it would have been a nice time save if he pulled that hover off, though.
And depending on how valuable this hint is here, he may be glad that he misses it. We'll have to see. Misery Mire key and the big key are fire locked in Mire. That's very good information, because that means you definitely need to go left side to clear that out.
Yeah, that's a decent tip. That's definitely worth the time that you lose for not being able to make that hover. So we just got the 2 chests here on the right side. If this is... Oh, there's our first glove upgrade, 40 minutes in, finally.
A sigh of relief is heard through the restream from our runners when they get this glove.
Yeah, I like getting the big key and a small key there, because then you can continue directly back and kill the boss, and then you just have to come back in to get the items. But finding a glove, that's the best outcome. And Kermit, he's doing the same thing, so he'll be getting his glove momentarily. Let's see if P-Train does a bomb jump here. Ooh, nope.
Well, I'm not sure if it was intentionally threw the bomb upwards, but it did make quick work of that mini Helmosaur, so we'll call that intentional. And there's the second glove! Holy cow, both gloves in Palace of Darkness today. Absolutely incredible.
Absolutely. Pod is the play today. Getting some extra rupees too makes a lot of sense. You know, we're so low on rupees. We still have to do the digging game and the chess game, so we want to have a little bit heading into Village of Outcasts. So you open the door, so that this has to be a key, but
oh, good thing you went back there. Just getting that big key. There. Trying to, you know, metagame the key logic here, thinking the big key could be over here in the dark room, and if he bomb jumped across, you know, he could just go get that and save a key, but definitely worth picking it up since that was the big key today.
So, you want to take a gamble on what the boss is going to be?
I'm just going to be brutal and say our runners are going to have to deal with another Trinex. It's possible, right?
It's absolutely possible. They could all be Trinexes. I'm gonna be generous. I'm actually gonna go for... Well, you know what? This doesn't really count as generous, but I'm feeling like a Cold Stare.
Yeah, Cold Stare would be kind of interesting here, especially with that spike layout in the back. I see chat saying Blind is an option. Blind would also be another one of those kind of annoying early phase bosses here with the spikes in the back of this room.
As long as it's not an Argus, I'm not in the mood to troll the runners that hard.
Yeah, the gloves did that for us.
Yeah, you could argue that, you know, they just got both mid upgrades within a minute of each other, so they're due for an Argus.
Now, the one thing interesting about finding both gloves here is, you know, our runners now basically have all of Dark World and all of Light World open to them. You know, the Mire area is open. We do have Flute. You know, we do have Mitts. We've got the Mirror as well. So there could be a very wide range of divergence here, and it's kind of going to be, you know, now instead of kind of backtracking against each other, who's going to make the right play and who's going to do it when.
Yeah, we still have the Southern Dark World checks for P-Train to make. He had enough money that he could come directly in the Palace of Darkness. Kermit did half of the route. He did just Hype Cave, but with the mirror, he's able to, and the mitts, he's able to do the rest of the checks and just continue directly in the Village of Outcasts and the Smith's Chain if you want to. But I think probably the best move for both players might be Death Mountain now. They have most of the items on light and dark side. That's a lot of item density.
And I believe we've got a Landmo fight coming up here. Yes, we do. With Fire Rod in hand, this should be pretty quick as P-Train one cycles the 3 Landmo.
Yeah, that was a nice Landmo fight, for sure.
As a runner, those are the bosses you like to see in Boss Shuffle because you know, all right, I can do this and I can do it quickly.
Alright, so we are done the whole Eastern Pod area, even turned to the Green Pendant, and we're just done this entire section of the game at this point. It's nice to cross off a whole area sometimes.
Yeah, no doubt. You don't want to have to come back just to do a one-off check. You know, obviously we had the compass here, I believe, yeah, on the Landmo fight in Pod, but you don't want to have to come back to get one item if that boss wasn't clearable at this stage.
Yeah, so P-Train doing the Hype Cave, probably Hype Cave to Digging Game. I actually like this more than the Death Mountain check, despite all of the items up on Death Mountain. He's got everything he needs to full clear Thieves Town, full clear Skull Woods, even check Bumper Cave, Graveyard Ledge. This is just a complete loop. And nothing is left out. Rather, you know, if he gets the hookshot here, then that's one fewer trip he has to make back up to do Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, most definitely. And I believe Kermit is going straight for the Skull Woods and Thieves Town area instead of finishing up that little bit he had left in the south side of Dark World.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you've already done Hype Cave, you might want to save the remaining stealth checks for turning in the purple chest. You know, if you're going to be walking it down, and then you can check those on the way. But he's doing the back of Skull first, which I like. This is a crystal dungeon that you have to clear. He's got the fire rod. He's got everything he needs. If you get both items off of Mothula and this chest back here, then you don't have to do anything in the rest of the dungeon. Even if you don't get the items, just getting the big key will let you more efficiently route the front.
Yeah, most definitely. It's one of those deals you just really, you really want to do everything you can to save time, especially with the slow early game. You know, our runners are probably thinking, you know, how early did the other one do Aga? And maybe they instantly went to Aga instead of, you know, having to go clear out some other stuff first. So, luckily for each of our runners, though, you know, they're kind of in the same boat here. They've done the same plays early on.
Kermit here, conserving as much magic as possible. Even using the lantern here. This is good in case we find a cold stare or something at the boss, or another Trinex where he really needs that magic. That's good thinking ahead on his part. Fortunately, he'll be able to do a cold stare with the Bombo, so Trinex is still going to be tough without magic. Nice full magic refill there. That's clutch timing.
All right, and what boss has Skullwood's got for us today? We've got a cold stare. This is always an interesting fight in this room.
Not bad, and he would have been able to do this even if he didn't get full magic refill. Bombos really comes in handy here. But a tough fight to do on conveyors and spikes.
Yeah, down to 4 hearts here, down to 1 now, so luckily 2 of the puffs are gone, and that actually does it. Oh, so Kermit actually pulled that one out. Just a compass today.
That was a surprisingly close fight. It was fast, but that was dangerous. So there's our second crystal for Kermit. P-Train's focusing on some of these overworld checks, and we just got an item off the boss there. So we're going to have to do at least some of the front of Skullwoods.
And P-Train opting to not grab that purple chest. I was watching the race earlier between these two. He grabbed that purple chest and then went into Thieves, full cleared it. When you clear a dungeon, that chest resets. So no use in picking it up right now.
That's a little unfortunate timing. Find a magic bottle in the first chest at the back of Skullwoods would have been nice to pick up before the Cold Stare fight. So as Kermit works his way to the front, P-Train is just doing all of these overworld checks. There's our silver arrows in the C-shaped tiles. That's a nice find.
Yeah, getting those at this point is very nice. We're in normal mode, so we can fire those at the bosses we come across. We don't have to just wait for Ganon, so we might get to see quite a bit of those, especially if we come across a Vitreous.
Yeah, this is interesting that P-Train is opting to pick up their purple chest now.
Okay, I think I see what he's going to do. So he's going to use the mirror here, and then he's going to flute down there to turn it in, and then his portal's right here at the flute number 3 spot, so he can come right back to it and then knock out Thieves Town.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was thinking back to a race where I took the purple chest through the front of Skullwoods with me, and then did Graveyard Ledge, and then fluted it over.
That chest went on adventure with you that day, didn't it?
It did. I got to see most of the game. But purple chest holding a progressive sword upgrade. That's our third one there for P-Train. And tempered is basically all you need. Tempered and silvers. You basically feel you're done at this point.
Well, that cape that we got from Sahasrahla earlier for clearing the green pendant Eastern Palace only gives us the option to get another invincibility item, the blue cane. Kermit passing up on that opportunity as it's pretty useless to us at this point.
Yeah, redundancy cave there, not going to help us out. Train first item in Thieves Town is get another sword upgrade, so he's fully loaded. Red mail, butter, and silvers, and he knows that the last shield, he even knows where that is in Mimic Cave if he wants it.
All right, and that big key for Thieves Town is in that final chest in the opening 4 chests. We'll see if P-Train opts to go directly to the boss at this point or makes the play to the back. As Kermit finds the hook shot inside of King's Tomb. That's another really good find.
Oh, absolutely. And Kermit's going to take advantage of this opportunity to just find out what these last 3 items are and escape. Well, we see a Vitreous as our Thieves Town boss. A nice, easy fight with the silvers. No
Super convenient, those silvers were just sitting outside.
Yeah, so Kermit, loses his mirror loses his portal to check these locations. Not bad though, because you get him out of the way, and it's really fast to get back in the Dark World if you go to Kakariko. But it looks like he's either going to, possibly finish up the Southern Dark World stuff, or just go in the swamp.
Yeah, at this point, either play seems to be a good one. Swamp is kind of high in the item density, with 6 unique items, or I shouldn't say unique items, but 6 items that will be there. So very smart play here. A lot of item density here.
Yeah, it's also our first red crystal. Now I'm just thinking ahead here. Desert being our other red crystal, we do have desert access that we can full clear. Might have been a little bit better if we had to have cleared desert first and then done swamp. We could have gone directly into the Pyramid Fairy. That's one possibility for a little bit of a time savings, but either way, this is a crystal we got to clear.
Yeah, and one thing to keep in mind, I believe we did see a hint earlier. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, some of these hints always like bleed together. But I think we saw that Ether was in Swamp Palace. I didn't say if it was on the left side or, you know, in the back or the front of Swamp. But maybe Kermit's making this play to think, all right, if I get this, then I don't have to worry about what any of these medallions are going towards Mire and Turtle Rock.
Absolutely. And as speak of the medallion, we did get the hint, and unfortunately, though, it's not, you know, hiding away on the side. It's the first chest in the dungeon. Either way, that's all the medallions for Kermit.
It's always nice to have that full arsenal. So I think at this point, it just puts us a Cane of Samaria away from no mode at this point. Now, once we know where that is, and then I think Kermit is just the Cane from go mode.
Wow, P-Train, I think, had just enough magic for that that Bombos there. I don't think he's got any safeties. But Gold Sword makes a difference.
Yeah, Gold Sword making Cold Stare melt like butter here, even inside Skullwoods on the conveyor belt.
Yeah, my favorite hint in the game is probably which just tells you what's on left side swamp. The Ether was a nice hint, but just, you know, you can skip left side swamp is probably the best hint you can get.
Oh, that's definitely the, you know, the biggest time-saving hint. That and knowing what's on the Firelock side of Mire.
Yeah, that's a big one as well. So Kermit, having found that Ether, is just heading for the back here. Like you said, if we get the Cane of Samaria, you know, that he'll probably consider that to be his go mode item. He's not going to be looking for the silvers.
It'll be interesting to see. Sorry about that. It'll be interesting to see if he does pick up the Cane of Samaria before he goes to Thieves Town. Since in Thieves Town we know there's another sword upgrade there, and you know, if he's checking every item along the way, then he'd get that temper sword. Otherwise, it's quite different. Quite the difference here between the level 2 and the level 4 sword.
Yeah, I thought about that after I said it. I don't know if you would consider, you know, Master Sword silverless. I don't think you'd act, you know, like the same go mode. You're not going to skip at least easy to find chests. Yeah. But for Thieves Town, with it being a crystal, he's going to find that sword. He's going to be opening those first 4 chests, just looking for the big key. So that's kind of a given.
Oh yeah, you're right there, because since we did find out on P-Train's side that the big key was in that final chest, so you're not just going to skip and go directly to that final chest.
Yeah, good. You know, we'll definitely skip purple chest if he finds, you know, Cane of Samaria before then, but he's not going to be going into, you know, silverless Ganon. That's just not an option this seed, unless he does the most unique Thieves Town route ever.
And we've got Cold Stare number 2 of the seed here on Kermit's side. Cold Stare hiding out in Swamp Palace for us. So getting him pinned in that corner, you know, level 2 sword and the Fire Rod combo still does pretty quick work there of Cold Stare. Very nice fight from Kermit.
Yeah, and as is the tradition, we get bombs from a boss. Now, that Cold Stare fight was, execution-wise, it was a lot safer. That was really what you want to see. But without the spikes, it actually was slightly slower. The spikes definitely helped out on that first Cold Stare.
P-Train heading into King's Tomb. Will be picking up his hookshot in here. That may send him on over to Swamp Palace as well. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I would really like to see, you know, the desert and then swamp play, just so we can find out what the Pyramid Fairy has. But he's taking an alternate route. This makes a lot of sense too. If you're gonna route in Catfish, This is probably the best time to do it.
Opting not to mirror to Light World to get one of those potion safeties. You know, with all these cold stares, you know, there seems to be a chill in the air. You know, might be a good idea to get one, but not required.
Yeah, well, he has the green potion from Skull Woods, I believe. So it's a little bit of a safety.
All right, Kermit picking up his level 3 sword. Probably breathing a sigh of relief after finishing that previous seed just a little while ago with just the level 2 sword.
Absolutely. And that was the game in that race. So you definitely want to find Tempered. Ideally, you'd find Tempered before you kill two cold stares, but hey, better late than never.
Just more experience points in the leveling up chain there for Kermit.
Yeah, and P-Train making that Swamp Palace play, so we have a little bit of time now just doing each other's dungeons and filling in the gaps here.
So yeah, since they are retracing their steps, for those just joining us, let's try and do a quick recap. So this is a standard mode seed, but it is enemized, so that just means ball shuffle. So the regular overworld enemies are not randomized. They are the vanilla enemies that you see in most all seeds. We did have late glove access, both gloves actually being inside a Palace of Darkness. Not too much divergence early on. They did have to make that AGA 1 play, and now, at least on Kermit's side, we are just a Kana Samaria from Go mode.
Yeah, that was I really like that lightning that Vitreous shot out. It seemed to wrap around Kermit's sprite.
Yeah, that was pretty intense there.
So Kermit did not check the left side, if I recall. Were there any items over there, or did he gamble?
I'm not sure if he gambled. Maybe chat can help us out. I did not do an item count there. I'll have to pay a little closer attention here on P-Trading side. We got that first item right now, and we'll see what we can find here as Kermit is making the play to the Mire area.
So I'm surprised we haven't seen this a little bit earlier. You know, there's nice 3 items sitting out here in the shed, and then Checkerboard Cave. We have the 4th item on Agena. That's a very quick check, and a 5th just sitting on the ledge. So there's a lot of really quick checks that a lot of players would do as soon as they have, you know, the mitts and the flute. And we do have that other red crystal dungeon that we can clear.
Yeah, we'll see if Kermit, which he may end up doing, we'll see if he opts to do Desert first. You don't really want to have to go into Mire without that King of Samaria unless you absolutely have to. That would be a pretty aggressive play.
Yeah, I don't expect to see Silvers. I'm sorry, Mire rather. I was reading chat. I don't expect to see Misery Mire at this point until at least we've seen the Death Mountain. We haven't seen anything on the east side of Death Mountain, and with the hookshot now, we can get everything in the Light World and Dark World. Paradox Cave, Super Bunny Cave, Hookshot Cave, the Island, Spike Cave. There's so many quick items up there.
And the big key is on the torch today in Desert. Easy to get to with those early boots that we got.
Yeah, boots were very generous this seed, showing up in, I think they were in the west. So Kermit, he has the big key, but he's going to check the right side for these items.
So checking P-Train side, I believe knowing what the boss drops, that's 5 of the 6 items in this dungeon, which probably means that he's going to make the same gamble there. It's just one item check that Kermit left behind here in Swamp.
That's definitely a reasonable gamble. I think a lot of people, if there's 2 items, they'll definitely go for it. One, you have to make it the call. But small heart container there on the right side of desert. So our second item is on Land Molus for Kermit. A nice fast cold stare for P-Train.
Kermit heading to the boss now in desert. We'll have to wait and see if we get yet another cold stare, or if it'll be a new enemy, or a boss rather, gracing us with its presence today.
Well, we got the Bombos in Hype Cave, and it's really helped us on these cold stare fights. So they haven't been that terrible. Kermit's had a much harder time with the lack of health than P-Train's had. P-Train's had a really nice sword advantage on both of those cold stare fights.
P-Train picking up Quake there on Lake Healy Island. Now both of our runners do have all 3 medallions. Don't have to worry about what the requirements are to get inside, as we were saying earlier. So now we are still just that Cane of Samaria away from Go Mode, as we have a multi-eyed Moldorm inside of Desert Palace today.
It's like all the Lambos kind of just got together to be at one super Lamo.
It's one of those let our powers combine, and then they or maybe a fusion and they all came together and they all kept the same eyes.
Nice. The second item is just a green rupee, but that is our other 5/6 crystal. So that opens up the Pyramid Fairy for Kermit, and fluting away, not going to dip Meyer without the cane. I definitely think that makes a lot of sense.
I really like what P-Train's doing over here. A lot of times it gets overlooked. Made that play into Dark World on East Death Mountain. Since he has the mirror and the mitts to get into Dark World, can go ahead and route in Paradox Cave, the lower and upper portion, and then go right back into Dark World and head straight up to Super Bunny Cave and Hookshot Cave. It's one of those nice little time saves you can do along the way if you have the right item loadout.
Absolutely. You have to come back down for Spiral Cave, but Spiral Cave's that's always going to find a way to mess with you.
I think the only thing that would make it better for P-Train is if, he had the Cane of Samaria, but who knows, we might find that in Hookshot Cave right outside.
I like the Cane of Samaria being the last item, then you can just, I don't know, I don't like searching for items in Turtle Rock. It's nice to be able to say, I have everything I need, I'm going to do TR last. This could be, the Cane of Samaria could be like the Ice Rock, where they have to do virtually every location that can't have it before they find it.
About to get new checks on both sides here. Just some money on P-Train's side. Oh, and there's the Cane of Samaria on P-Train's side in the Super Bunny Cave. That's convenient. That's going to be an hour, 8 minutes for Go Mode. It'll just be a quick run through here of TR Meyer and Desert Palace.
Yeah, that's very, very nice. Kermit picks up the powder at the Pyramid Fairy. It's an excellent safety item to find, and it lets him do this magic bat check, which is immediately. But we have everything we need. Kermit, Kermit still might do, Smith's Chain and get that 4th sword. He still might check C-shaped house and get the silvers. But we know where everything is.
And Magic Bat today only has 50 rupees. I don't really think we need any more of those at this point. Would have been nice to have them early on, kind of like bombs, I think.
Absolutely. And P-Train gets to skip that last hint tile. Go Mode, Turtle Rock. You can skip the vanilla big chest key if you picked up the big key prior to that. You could just skip Mimic Key, even though this time we know it's just a shield due to the hint tile. There's a big key, so we definitely get to skip that first vanilla big key chest. And depending on the small key layout, we may get to skip Laser Bridge as well.
Kermit's finally seeing the red mail there, or the progressive armor rather, inside of Spectacle Rock. Kind of took a look back there thinking, man, I could have had that a lot sooner than right now.
Yeah, this is a really good route for Kermit, though. This is going to get him his you know, this means that he's probably never going to get the silvers or the butter sword, but you know, this puts him on the right track to to go mode the rest of the dungeons. Unfortunately, he's dipping into Pendant Hera, having come up here on the left side rather than hookshot across and do the more item dense east side of Death Mountain. This is going to be a big time loss.
Yeah, this is definitely a time sink. I saw that cane pop up there on that hit and thought maybe he's going to get the Cane of Samaria hint, but unfortunately it was just that Cane of Berna. Not knowing, where that cane is, that quick dip for that hint for some potential information is not the worst play, especially if you're just looking for one item and you really you need some guidance along the way to try and speed it up.
Yeah, that wasn't actually that bad. Just dipping for the hint and the first two item locations. If he had full cleared that tower, that could have been a significant time sink. But all in all, a minute lost at most. A good play from Kermit there, deciding to head out.
Yeah, that small key appearing before the big key is definitely, I believe, what saved him. Maybe we see him go up if that the big key is in place instead of that small key. But knowing the big key is locked down there in tile room or behind tile room, definitely the smarter play time-wise to leave that for now.
Yeah, so where we stand between the players, Kermit's about to find his Cane of Samaria here, and that's going to give him go mode. He's not going to have the same sword and arrows that Pete Train has, but that's not that big of a disadvantage. Last race, we saw him do Master Sword Ganon, with silvers. That's a much bigger disadvantage than tempered silverless is, as far as when it comes to time. So he'll be following P-Train directly into Turtle Rock, and then he has to do Mire. P-Train has to do Mire and Desert. So that should be some time for them to catch up. P-Train can save a little bit of time in Desert by getting the big key and then going directly to the boss. But it should be pretty close. They're not as far. They're not that bad as far apart as it looks.
Yeah, most definitely. And we did see, once the runners were in go mode in the previous race, maybe a little bit of a spoiler, but the person who was in the lead going down the stretch didn't end up being the one winning it. So we could see a swing. It just kind of depends on how things fall as Kermit picks up his Cane of Samaria and has entered go mode.
Yeah, interesting save and quit there. You're already up there by Turtle Rock, so I don't think there's that much of a difference between just immediately clearing it and coming back for it. But either way, he's going to have to lose his Dark World access and climb that Death Mountain one more time.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll see P-Train obviously after clearing out the boss here make the same play over to Mire. I guess if I had to advocate a positive for why Kermit maybe did that save and quit, it does take a few seconds to even sprint out of Super Bunny Cave versus a save and quit. You can just go straight to Mire. So maybe a possible couple seconds save there. We'll just have to wait and see.
That's a good point. It might be slightly faster. Routing wise, you're going to have to go to the same location. But when it comes down to what's a few seconds faster, he probably did pick the better route.
All right, and Turtle Rock has a Helmasaur for us today.
Hey.
First time seeing you today, buddy.
I like Helmasaur in this room. It's a really easy fight, and it kind of looks like his normal room.
Yeah, he just rearranged the spikes for a little more updated decor.
Exactly.
And P-Train with that Butter Sword making very, very quick work of Helmasaur, picking up his 5th crystal. So he does have to go down to Mire still and do Desert. Not really a huge advantage on either side. The Silvers are going to save him a little bit of time down the stretch. But, you know, obviously we'll have to kind of wait and see here what boss we're going to find inside of Misery Mire.
Yeah, now we did get a hint that tells us where the big key is on the left side here in Misery Mire. So it does save us a little bit of time in locations we don't need to check. We don't have to check the bridge. We don't have to check the right side. This is actually a really good hint because a lot of players would initially skip this. And fortunately, we don't even have to do the cutscene room.
Yeah, finding that in the first torch chest there without having to do cutscene is very nice. You know, I always enjoy getting that hint too because, you know, I've seen races decided where both runners are in go mode, they're trying to finish, you know, just go mode through Mire, and then one makes the play to the right side, gets the key, one person does the cutscene chest. You know, that's the biggest swing in the world right there.
It's unfortunate for Kermit though. He walked right through the room he needed to be in. He was trying to go right side instead of taking the left side portal, and that cost him a good 30 seconds there. Unfortunately, you can do this left side without a small key. It's the I died to Vitreous, I need to get back quickly route.
Yeah, most definitely.
But yeah, if he had a small key, then he could have gone right side, and it would have just been a little slower. But he doesn't even have that key, so this is the way that he has to go. That or, you know, do the cutscene room and open chests. No one's going to want to do that. So wow, they are pretty close.
Yeah, going to see a little bit of sync here between our runners again.
Yeah, P-Train. No, P-Train. Oh
no! Oh no! You gotta hate to see that happen.
And we know P-Train saw that hint. This is not the quicker of those two chests to check.
Well, given that ALTTP Randomizer likes to give us hints of items we just got, maybe he checks this next hint in this next room and it says, "Hey, the big key was in the chest you just left behind."
That would really be a great hint. Like if they to say, you know, knowing where it is.
Yeah, that would be a pretty heads up on the devs' part, and a couple of frustration slashes there. Kind of a "I can't believe you done this" moment.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, a cold stare. Who would have guessed?
Man, it's like I said earlier, there's a chill in the air today. Just cold stares everywhere. And as you can see here, Kermit is taking damage. That goo, it's kind of loaded a little weird here because of Minimizer, but it still does damage, just like it does in the vanilla Vitreous fight.
Yeah, and P-Train coming back to get the big key. And fortunately, he's continuing directly north, so that's a good minute lost there, unfortunately, but he's back on track now. And he saw the hint, he knew it was operations. So he knows what he did.
Now, one thing to keep in mind right here, I'm pretty sure he'll go grab it. There's a full magic refill on the left side, and yes, he is remembering to take that. Coming in here with no magic from using it a little while ago, that could have been a big swing in time. Luckily, he did remember that was there.
Chat makes an interesting point, and I obviously this isn't how it works because, you know, of what we've seen here, but I think that the hint listed the big key as the second part of the hint text, so maybe that's what made him think that it was going to be the second chapter.
That's possible. I know personally, I at one point I tried to, you know, metagame it that way, and I think it is completely randomized, as we see P-Train little spooky action glitch there to get those crystal switches changed.
Yep, got all three of them. Yeah, we know from observation that's not a hint, but that could be what he was thinking. That would explain, you know, doing the transition room first. So Kermit is going into his last dungeon, Turtle Rock. P-Train just has to do Desert after this, and Desert's right here, so they're both really close. Turtle Rock is a longer dungeon, but it's also up the mountain already. I'm not going to give either of these guys an edge at this point.
And P-Train is making quick work there of Cold Stare to pick up some bombs. You know, that'll be very useful, especially if it was, you know, early on. Kermit making his way through Turtle Rock here. Going to be picking up that big key here in this first chest. Still going to need to go right side to get those keys, though. All right, and P-Train making his way with the mirror back into Light World. Going to take on Desert Palace. This should be a fairly quick clear, as we do know that the big key is on the torch, so I do expect to see him pick that up and mirror back to the start of this and head straight to the back. And both runners really, it's going to come down to a little bit of time gap here, I think, just with Kermit. Turtle Rock being the slightly longer dungeon, you know, but it's nowhere near over at this point. We really could see a swing depending on the key layout in GT and where we find that big key.
Yeah, it's a longer dungeon, but P-Train also has to climb the mountain again. One thing to keep in mind, though, is, you know, like we saw in the last race, P-Train had really, really good GT execution and actually, you know, made up a decent amount of time. So he's a little bit ahead at this point, but even if he was a little bit behind, it's not like he can't catch up from it.
Oh, absolutely.
Still way too close to call.
Yeah, most times in rando seeds, it's all about item placement and where you check and what you find. Coming down the stretch like this, it's all about execution and how well you can perform going up GT.
So with that land mode death, that's our 7th crystal for P-Train.
That nice fused together Landmo. Chat pointing out that that Moldorm with all those eyes definitely, it's a little bit of nightmare fuel there. That's one of those images that'll kind of stick with you for a while.
Absolutely. So I kicked off the guessing game. You can pick your number between 1 and 22 where you think that the big key is going to be, and we'll base that off P-Train's chest order since we'll be heading up there first. What's your vote for today, Dante?
I'm gonna go with chest number 4 with the right side play. I'm gonna be very specific with that right side play, though.
I want to see it behind the ice cold stare, which is the only way that we're going to be able to see the ice cold stare, because I want the ice. I want the Moldorm 2 also to be cold stare and Lambo to be cold stare. I want 6 cold stares.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to give the chat what they want here. You know, maybe we see it on way in the back. Maybe it's in tile room too. Maybe we get to see that custom or randomized text we get from that tile room. That's one of the nice fun things about Randomizer. The tile rooms aren't in that, you know, in that same pattern always. You know, you may just get a nice big no on the floor.
Yeah, but there's no cold stare in the tile room.
This is true. This is true.
I don't think I've actually ever seen an actual ice cold stare fight, so that would be a nice treat for me. I mean, you have Ice Palace, but there's no ice on the floor when you get in his room.
Yeah, imagine if, even in the vanilla game, if they'd have made Ice Palace just, you know, a lot of it has ice physics, but what if that boss fight had ice physics as well?
I think a lot of kids would have broken their controllers in frustration. I've seen people like in bit races, do ice physics and stuff like that. But I've never actually seen it in a randomizer seat, so that would be pretty fun.
All right, and P-Train is making the play straight to left side. Not a repeat of the first seed from this doubleheader where the big key was on the torch. But rather, we're going to go, looks like we're going to go full left side, I believe, at this point.
What's that? Number 2. Okay, well, that was easy.
And that was super, super convenient. So both of their games today, game 1, it was number 1, as both of them went left side, and game 2, it was number 2.
Yeah, so congrats to Trickman01 for guessing. Well, there goes my ice cold stare dream.
Maybe, I don't want to wish ill will on Kermit. Maybe he just decides to just go straight down there. Just skip the Stalfos room. Let's go find ice cold stare.
Well, we would have to name that the Kermit route, because I don't think anyone has ever done that.
Oh man, that would be a great one.
Yeah.
And P-Train making his way through the gauntlet. So far, very solid execution here at the beginning. This is where the rooms start to get a little tricky. Still solid work there, making it through.
Yeah, the gauntlet with the butter sword is just really, really fun. It's a slaughter.
It's kind of like you wish you could just, dash in all kinds of directions, change your direction on the fly. Because, with the butter sword, you could just basically dash around with the sword out and just knock all the enemies out at that point.
Yeah. Ooh, another... Alright, a helmet sword this time, so my 6 cold stare dream would have been dead anyway.
Now, this does make it a little more difficult. That's a bigger sprite. We've got the fireball shooter down there at the bottom left, adding a little more lag than usual to this room. So, gonna be a little bit of a slower fight here.
Yeah, the Medusa is definitely a pain. No spikes. And I think the Medusa stops shooting too once you get the helmet off for whatever reason. Probably the same reason that the fireballs despawn. It's number of sprites on the screen, that kind of thing.
I'm sure we could get some information from Super Scudge if he was here, but I don't think he's here with us today for that. And Kermit making his way up the tower now. Not too terribly far behind, honestly, but at this point, I will say it does kind of look like this is P-Train's to lose, since he does have the silver arrows versus Kermit being silverless. We'll just have to wait and see how this plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about that the butter sword and the silvers, they're not necessarily the game changers. And if you're coming from behind and you have them and your opponent doesn't, it might save you a little bit of time. But if you're ahead and your opponent who's behind doesn't have them, then it's just going to compound an already bad situation.
Yeah, most definitely. Making our way, we've just got a couple more rooms to go through. We're going to see if we can get that extra cold stare fight right here. That's what we're hoping for. Oh, it's just a moth today. And without the spikes or the conveyor belt, it's literally just a moth. It's really not that bad. It's super easy.
He didn't even shoot a fireball. P-Train, not risking the hover there. Must feel it's pretty close at this point. Let's take the safer strats. Unless if you're gonna kill them off anyway, then there's no time savings in the hover.
Yeah, that's just kind of, if you kill it and then do the hover, that's kind of like flexing on your opponent a little bit.
Exactly, yeah. So might be a triple. Either
I think that
double or
might
triple
only be 2 since they hit together.
Yeah, they were close.
But it's kind of weird how that works sometimes. Sometimes it registers, sometimes it doesn't. So let's see.
Yeah, I don't think Aga should get iframes. That just doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, iframes for Aga is kind of a little OP, especially in swordless mode.
Still, that was a very nice Aga. It was pretty fast. So he's on his way down the Ganon. He did have to use his red potion in the tower. He didn't have the powder for the anti-fairies. That's one nice advantage that Kermit does have. But I think even having used the red, I think he still has a blue. And probably not going to need anything with red mail and everything he's got.
And this should be a pretty straightforward, I say that, and we'll see how it pans out, but pretty straightforward Ganon fight. With Butter Sword, it's just 6 slashes phase 1, 6 for phase 2, and then we all know how the ending goes.
Yeah, I don't think Ganon gets to blame the incompetent fools for guarding his item when he could just, use the Triforce and wish Link dead, maybe.
Yeah, that seems to be the obvious play here, but, I don't think, Ganon is a pig after all. I'm not sure how big his brain is. And that was a very quick phase 1 and phase 2. Getting into this teleport phase, we'll see how many teleports he's going to give us today.
And there's one silver. No torch glitch, but we don't even need it.
A very nice double shot there from P-Train. And there's the final shot. Now, unless something happens with the hardest bridge in the game, get ready to get your GGs in chat for P-Train.
I can't believe you did that thing with the bridge.
Very nice work there from P-Train, and GGs to him. Now, we do have Kermit still over here on Aga 2, hopefully making quick work of him, and then we'll see his Ganon fight as well.
Yeah, we'll wait till they both finish before we bring P-Train in for an interview, but we can call his official time 1 hour, 32 minutes, 23 seconds. And that's another win for P-Train, 2 for 2 for the day. So I guess Kermit still doesn't have any audio. Unfortunately, he said he fixed it, and we trusted him.
Yeah, we did have a little bit of an alert issue in the first game, but nothing too big. But yeah, we do have a little bit of a freeze here, but we do have P-Train here who has finished that one, like we said a little while ago.
Kermit should be in his Ganon fight.
So currently Kermit's fighting Ganon. He's got Tempered Sword, so it's just 12 slashes or 6 spin slashes. I would imagine he's doing a mixture of the two at this point. And
yeah, he got a nice spin off the trident. It was beautiful.
Yeah, and if he's got really good placement, he could use the wall and knock out a very fast phase 2. Very nice work there.
Yeah, already in the phase 3, nice. I mean, when you get the Tempered Sword, it's impressive, and same patterns as P-Train had. This is fun to watch.
And looks like Kermit now is falling into Ganon. If I had to guess, I think that some of the tournament rule settings, like for clarification, it's one of those deals of where if you disconnect, it will the delay will start back where you left off, and that's probably what's happened in this case.
You didn't mention on the cool dash strats that he used.
I call him as I see him, and I didn't see it to begin with, so.
Oh. I think that's, yeah, so he's, all right, we're in phase 3. So he still has that blue. he's got all the potions. Having that powder, I guess, let him save a little bit of potions.
Yeah, having the full RGB spectrum of potions here. But yeah, we will have the, like we said a second ago, we will have the silverless fight, but having the blue and the green, you know, even if worst case scenario, he misses a ton of fire rod shots and has to use it. He's got half magic. He should be very okay. Getting that torch glitch there.
Yeah, and the silverless strat with the tempered, not a challenge at all. Half magic, you're able to get 3 spins in with each fire rod shot if you get nice positioning. That one unfortunately wasn't good, so this will just be a double. But even with just doubles, it's not that difficult to fight. It's your standard, you know, NMG fight anyway.
Yeah, it goes pretty quickly. You know, the first couple times, very close there, almost took that fall. But the the silverless fight, you know, the first couple times, you know, you decide to undertake this and learn how to do it. It could be a little daunting of a task, but once you do it once or twice, it's kind of like, okay, I understand how this works now.
Yeah, it's a little bit trickier when you start trying to get triples in with the fire rod, because you're timing to get that first spin in right before he teleports, but not too soon to stun him. That's a little bit trickier, but it's, you know, it's very practicable. It's not like, you know, trying to do a hover or something that takes, you know, super insane timing.
Most definitely. And Kermit taking down the big pig here. Get your GGs in chat. Like we said a second ago, hopefully gets across this tough bridge. And looks like he does. So GGs to Kermit there. Let's get you an official SRL time. 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 58 seconds. So congrats to Kermit there.
All right. And we got them both in the waiting room, so we'll bring them in. Welcome, Pete Train, and welcome, Kermit. Fun race, for us at least.
Appreciate it. GG, Kermit.
GG.
Yeah, this was a very exciting seed. You know, we had standard and we had no bombs dropped for you guys. Was that weighing on either one of you guys' mind? You know, especially with no glove early on.
Oh yes. I really wish I had bit the bullet and just done AGA sooner. I don't know when you did it, Kermit. I think I was finally heading up to AGA around the 40-minute mark.
Well, I did it pretty early, I think. Maybe like 25 minutes? I don't know.
Yeah, you guys were in the tower at the same time.
Oh. Maybe not.
I think, if I remember correctly, P-Train, you dashed to the back to go ahead and check, you know, the back of Escape. And very shortly thereafter, while you were doing that, that was when Kermit made the play into AGA Tower. So Kermit did get into Dark World slightly before you, but I think it was within a minute of each other.
Yeah, for me, dashing to the back was, I felt really bad double dipping EP the way I did, especially for it to come up with pretty much garbage. Like, I mean, I got the cape out of it. That was it. So I felt super behind. So to me, that was the gamble. I felt like AGA was the safe play. And unfortunately, I think I got 40 rupees in a heart container.
Yeah, not the most generous items coming, you know, off Trinex and even from Sahasrara with the green pendant there. Just a cape for your troubles. And then when we, you know, I'm not sure which runner it was, took a peek over at Bumper Cave, we just got, you know, the Cane of Burna there, and obviously that's of no assistance to you guys there. It's just one of those, oh, that's there, great, I'm not going to waste my time for it.
Yeah, other than that, though, the seed was really nice.
Yeah, the seed really did want you to get that can of Burna. I mean, it gave you the cape, and it shows you what's on the ledge, and it even gave you a hint telling you it was up there. But neither of you guys needed a redundant invulnerability item.
That was so weird, though. Like, you got everything for an early Trinex, get the cape. I don't know. I thought there was like 100% something on Bumper Cave. I was really bummed out when I saw the Burna.
Yeah, my gut was telling me the same thing for you guys. You know, the ice rod early. You know, how did you guys feel about getting that nice Trinex loadout? You know, within like 20 minutes of the seed starting.
Yeah, that's one funny thing about Randomizer. Like, anytime you see stuff like that, I don't know. It was scary, but at the same time, there was comfort because by the time we got Dark World access, the only boss we couldn't kill was Argus because we were missing the hook shot. So all in all, like, yeah, it's scary to see the ice rod that early, but it's also really nice not to have to worry about it for the rest of the seed.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know how long you guys now were watching, you know, in the commentary, but we were really hoping that there would be the big key in GT, you know, behind a potential ice cold stare, maybe potentially getting the dream of 6 cold stares in this seed. How'd you guys feel about running into him multiple times?
I had Butter Sword, so it was
Yeah.
there was one time, like in Skull Woods, I actually got really nervous because I had Fire Rod, but only had like a quarter of magic. But apparently, I had exactly enough to get off a Bombo shot and finish the fight.
Yeah,
Wow.
you were exactly enough for that bombos. Kermit was at each of those cold stare fights was at a sore disadvantage for each one of them, but managed to pull them off. But that first one was really impressive in Skullwoods.
Yeah, thanks. I don't know. I think I did better than the first race execution-wise, but always swords are missing. It's really bad. Well, that's what you get when you skip too much, I guess.
I think kind of what made the big difference in this, once you guys both got the mitts, and I know both gloves were in Palace of Darkness, which we all were kind of rolling at, you know, it kind of opened up the world for you guys, and that's where you guys made the biggest divergence in your routes. And I think it honestly just kind of came down to, you know, the item placements where, you know, who made what check first. You know, it was basically, you know, a hashtag rando moment.
I like to see it. Like, I'm not mad about it. It's sad that I lost again by like only a couple of minutes, but yeah, the zeros were pretty good. I'll take those anytime.
Yeah, this was my first time ever doing the standard Randomizer, and it's kind of nice. Like, I did enjoy the ball shuffle, and it comes without the stress of, you know, murdered actals literally everywhere, and, you know, thieves that can kill you and things like that. So I enjoyed this.
Yeah, that's a good point. Despite this seed having, I'd say if you average the difficulty of all the bosses, definitely higher difficulty, the Trinexes and then the 3 cold stares. But you had the items to complete more dungeons than you otherwise would have. So you probably could have had more than, you know, another backtrack in there somewhere. And as I said, been standard mode. But so this brings P-Train. This brings you up to 6 and 8, I believe, and that's going to get you into 4th place. Looking at the current stats currently.
Yeah, I've had a bit of work ahead of me. We had a drop in our group that kind of put me behind for a little bit, so I'm kind of trying to get back into like a reasonable position. But as of right now, I only have one more game, and that's against ACMLM. So I'm gonna do my best, but we'll have to see how that goes. He's an excellent runner.
He's at 7-0, so that one is going to be a challenging fight.
Yeah, I'm responsible for 2 of those W's, so W's on his side at least.
Don't
But
worry,
yeah, all in all, it's
I'll
been
get
a-
some wins so you can like advance. I'll beat all of them except ACM.
All right. Well, I'll wrap it up unless you guys have any final thoughts, P-Train or Kermit.
Yeah, I'd like to say I think P-Train really deserves this because he's put so much effort into gaming. Like I started before him a good chunk of time, and he's been training way harder. So he's really doing well, and I think he can get even better. So good job to you, man. 3 hours deserved, I guess.
I really, really appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say. I really enjoyed our series. I really enjoyed racing. Looking forward to racing you. My group, I was a bit nervous about the competition in my group because everybody, Kermit included, has beat me before quite substantially. Actually, Kermit has definitely dropped a god route or two on me. Meanwhile, I'm like 2 hours plus into a season, so I don't know. It's been really fun. I've really enjoyed both our series and just the tournament in general. I'm having a blast. So. Looking forward to racing you in the future, man. Sad that our tournament relationship ends here, though.
Well, no, we can't advance both. So yeah, I guess
that ship has sailed.
That's true.
That's a very good sentiment from both of you guys. And there's always the weeklies that you guys can do. So maybe you'll catch each other on a weekly.
Absolutely. Once the tournament ends, I'm looking forward to getting some more casual races in. Really enjoy the tournament scene. Don't get me wrong, but it will be nice to kind of race with, lower stakes.
Indeed. There are links in Twitch chat to give BBB Kermit and P-Train24 both a follow. Both good runners. They gave us a double header today, and excellent sportsmanship from both of them. So I encourage you to check out their pages and give them a well-deserved follow. Taking a look at our schedule, this was a standard Randomizer, which was just the boss shuffle as we saw. There is another Randomizer race on Speed Gaming 2 that is an open Randomizer, hard mode difficulty between Someone 325 and Zero Rush. That's an interesting race. That's where all the enemies are randomized. So if you want to take a look at that, that's over on SG2. If you want to stick around 15 minutes on SG5, it'll be an inverted mode race on hard difficulty between McLagging and Boyne. Inverted is the mode where you guys start in the dark world first. You have to use the mirror to get into the light world. New to this version in this round of the tournament. Really interesting alternative game mode as well. If you guys haven't seen that, I recommend you check that out. That's at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Speed Gaming 5. My last notes, I'll say, of course, thanks again to the runners, the Speed Gaming staff for putting on this restream. Tracker, Vince Easter, doing an excellent job. And it's been a pleasure to join you, Dante, on CoComs. I'll give you the last word.
I've had a great time here today, Thierry. Thank you so much for co-comming with me. Once again, a big shout out to P-Train and Kermit here for putting on an excellent race here. Just 3 minutes difference. Both of our runners at the hour and a half-ish mark. Very good item placement, but yet again, very good decision-making and execution from our runners. And might I say, I'm very happy to see like this level of competition, yet also the sportsmanship, as we just kind of witnessed here with them chatting with each other. You don't get that a lot, and that's one thing I really do like about this community. If you are looking into getting into this, feel free to join the ALTTPR Discord. It's in the credits of every one of these races. I do not have that link to put in chat. If someone does, they could, but the community is very helpful, very supportive, and they can get you going on doing this. Had a great time today, like I said, with Tiru, and we'll see you here next time in the next race. Y'all have a great